I've nominated the County of Sanctuary Pembrokeshire community. They included such a wide variety of local people, so many different backgrounds who intuitively collectivized, came together when Penally opened. And it was just a overwhelmingly incredible response. We had so many people that wanted to volunteer, and we didn't have really the tools at the beginning, whether it's risk assessment, health and safety, the legal side, we didn't have context. We were all hitting the ground running, but we did that together. So there was a lot of community learning. I can't even really remember what came first. I think that the love came first, and then reaching out. Sanctuary Day, we had many Sanctuary Days, 2 to 3 a week, depending on what COVID would allow. Incredible English teaching teams. The befriending scheme and the bike bank, particularly, you wanted everybody to have at least one friend. It was an incredibly creative time. So we had all sorts of people come here and at other places too to be involved in artists who did sculpture projects, foragers, chefs turned up with their food, musicians came to play. Music was an ongoing theme throughout COSP, I think, and dance. Not only did I meet so many guys who were accommodated there, some became friends, and I heard about their stories and I heard about the world in a time where my world was really small. Somehow the organisation managed to be almost like a sponge for all sorts of goodwill. And then I think a lot of the time it's those really small, unglamorous things that make a community response like this possible. I am nominating the community because in some way we would benefit from being remembered and learnt from. We weren't professionals, and yet we were able to act as a community. This has been the most reaffirming experience of humanity of my life. I now believe in how generous people are intuitively.
One time we went to the beach. That's also a good day. Lily is very good. She sent a book for me, and they are very kind, they are very hard to help people. If they have anything, I'll answer. Thank you.
In every aspect of life, when we was in camp, they did nice things for us. Meeting new people, to communicate with society. I miss everybody. When I was in camp, sometimes there is so much problems about the food. When she cooked for me, she gave me a lot of things. And I don't have enough clothes when I was in camp. I don't have a bag, a lot of books, tablet. She supported me in every aspect of my life. We don't have a family here in UK. I'm alone. Then she's a nice family for me, just friend, and I'm happy. And I'm like, thank you.
There aren't really words to say thank you, but for me, it's restored my faith in a lot inside, and I'm so grateful to have that feeling.
Nominated the Pivot Community Support Project. We're volunteers from Volunteering Matters that have created a project with the local health board, PABS and the local authority. This project started in April 2021. Currently we have 17 volunteers and they age range from 25 to 70 plus. So this project works under Pivot. Pivot support people that have just left hospital. They enable people to stay at home with the right support to help them feel safe. The Pivot volunteers came about to support the Red Cross after they supported after 6 weeks, or if the Red Cross felt that the Pivot support could support initially, then we would do that. The type of support that we do is stop-in support, pharmaceutical pickup, we walk people's dogs, we do weekly telephone calls, we run any errands basically, anything that the person can't do then. So once they've left hospital, they probably need to stay at home, recovering, aids that really. So it takes off that stress about having to worry, can I get my dog walked, can I get some shopping in, I'm feeling lonely, but I just want someone to give me a weekly phone call. So we're there to support people, to ease the sort of stress of the worries and allow them to stay home. So we do support people for 6 weeks. It doesn't mean some people need a bit more support. So throughout that process, volunteers will help them to signpost to other, Age Cymru, House, community connectors, anywhere that we feel that they need support. So we would never leave a person if they didn't have any long-term support in. We were supporting a gentleman that lived with his wife. They used to do everything themselves. The gentleman had a stoma fitted, so he could not drive, he could not push, could not pull, and his garden was his, all the pride and joy. And we were so stressed out that he couldn't just cut his lawn, a volunteer. He would then just go to support that person, just cut his lawn, dig up some veg for him, tend to his, borders. And that just, I think that give that person control, really. I'd like to thank every single volunteer that's given their time and their patience. I think you're all, fantastic that you can spend up to, 4 or 5 hours a week supporting people. No one has ever said no to me. So yeah, you're all very sort of giving and compassionate, and you all really want to support people and do a really good job. So I just thank you for that.
People that we have chosen to nominate within the children's group purely because they've been the ones who have been involved since we've been able to start running group in March are Diane Neal, Lee Morrissey, Wendy Jones, Catherine Clegg, Denise Stanley and Linda Doyle. These groups run for 6 weeks with 1 session per week at the moment, and they take up around half a day where our volunteers, they arrive at 1 o'clock and then they all group together with our practitioners to talk about who's in the group, their background information, whether there was any concerns raised, and then the children and their parents or carers will arrive from 2 o'clock, and then they'd all meet together at the start of the group, and then they split off into the parents and the children's group, where they do their different activities on feelings and their memory building of their loved ones that they've lost. And then at the end they all regroup together and they say their goodbyes, and then the volunteers will continue to sit with the practitioners to then be able to discuss what's going on in that group again, and they can raise any more concerns if needed, and that can be added to their case notes then as well.
The volunteers have a huge impact on both the children and the parents. The parents always state that in their group they feel it's a safe, non-judgmental place to share their own grief and their child's grief. It's just so valuable for these children to see actually that these volunteers have all had somebody special who's died. They can now talk about it, they can share their stories, and they've all gone on to live good, fulfilling lives. And that's really important for these children to realise there can be a positive life after the death of somebody massive in their life. Thank you so much for being there for us. Without you, Sandy Bear wouldn't exist. We just couldn't do it. Thank you.
So it's been lovely to build such lovely relationships with such lovely women in our community. So thank you. And then Nadine Farmer and Nina Philpott for our teenage support group.
We have a set 3-day programme for these teenagers to take them through their grief journey. Quite a bit of the first day is gaining their trust. Teenagers are very wary. So a lot of that, and it allows others to realise actually him over there feels just like me. So once we've gained that trust, we can delve a bit deeper. They can share their frustration. We're very aware that we can't turn back time. These 2 ladies are particularly special. Nina, she is a bereaved mum, and her own son attended a teenage group. So she has lived the experience. She can say to these teenagers, actually, I'm a parent. I get what it's like to be a parent. And my teenage son tells me what it was like for him. So I have a real understanding. Nadine also works closely with youth workers. She's just absolutely fantastic with these teenagers. They all adore her. In fact, we all adore Nadine. She has just got this personality. It just works. It's really hard to describe, but she's an amazing lady. They both are.
The support that these ladies give to these bereaved teenagers, what they do is absolutely fantastic. Well done.